Hey, friends. In today's episode, I want to share with you something really real, something I've experienced myself about how to speak wisely. Speaking wisely. That's a phrase we're thinking about, isn't it? Why should we even care about speaking wisely? Let me give you a little example. When we interact or communicate with others, there are usually two kinds of situations that come up. And tell me if this sounds familiar to you. Here's the first one. You're talking to someone, and somehow it always ends up in an argument. It feels like no matter what you say, you just clash with them. It's exhausting. That's what we call communication friction, or as we sometimes say, being totally out of sync in conversation. That's the first problem. And then there's a second problem, which might be even more painful. Sometimes you don't even get the chance to clash because people just ignore you. They act like your voice doesn't carry any weight. You speak, but no one really listens. That's the first kind of situation. So what's the second one? It's when you speak and a whole group of people is actually paying attention. They're focused. They're interested. Why? Because what you're saying makes sense. It's engaging. It hits home. And even better, you speak your truth, honestly and directly, but nobody feels offended. You don't ruffle any feathers. In fact, people like you more for it. Wherever you go, people listen, respect, and appreciate what you say. Now, let's be honest. If you had to choose between those two scenarios, which one would you rather be in? Come on, even a little kid would pick the second one, right? And that, my friend, is the power of wise communication. So in this episode, I'm going to share 5 super simple, very real lessons that I've learned from my own life. Lessons that can help you speak more wisely, starting today. Let's get into it. Right here, right now. And to make things easier for you to follow along, I'm going to break it down into clear, simple parts so you won't miss a thing. All right, friends, let's dive into the first 2 lessons. And for these 2, I want to start with a very specific example. What I mean is, I'm going to give you an actual phrase you can use. And if you say this phrase the right way, I promise you, you'll instantly shift from being an awkward communicator to someone who speaks with wisdom. Seriously. These first 2 lessons are that practical and that powerful, because I get it. When you're just starting out, what you need is a solid foundation that's both easy to understand and gives you real results right away. Sound good? Now, after we go through the first 2, I'll guide you through the next 3 lessons, which take your communication to an even deeper level. Especially those last 3, they're all about context and mindset. In other words, you'll learn one thing, but you'll be able to apply it in 10 different ways. It's like a formula. Once you get it, you can plug it into almost any situation. You'll learn something universal, and from that universal principle, you'll be able to adapt and speak wisely in all kinds of real-life scenarios. All right, let's jump into lesson 1. And this one's super practical. It's a short sentence. But when you use it, it becomes almost impossible for a conversation to turn into an argument or a disagreement. This power sentence works especially well when someone comes to you to talk. Maybe they want to vent or share something that's weighing on them, or just open up about what they're feeling. And when that happens, all you have to do is use this sentence, and boom, no conflict, no stress. It just works. Getting curious now? Okay, to help you really understand the power of this sentence I'm about to share, let me walk you through a specific situation. It'll all make sense the moment you hear it. So here's the scenario. Let's say you're a guy, you have a girlfriend, or maybe you're married. One day, she comes home from work. She walks in the door looking completely worn out and says, "Babe, I'm so frustrated right now. This morning in the meeting, my coworker totally stole my idea. I was just about to present it, and she cut me off and said it first. And then the boss praised her. I was so angry I almost cried." It's just exhausting having to work with someone like that. Now you hear that and naturally you want to help, right? So you say something like, well, next time you got to speak up faster. You already know she's like that, so you should prepare better ahead of time. And honestly, stuff like this happens all the time. Why get so worked up? You think you're helping, you think you're offering solid advice, but nope. Because the next thing you know, she gives you attitude like, wow, really? You think I don't know that already? I was just trying to share how I felt. Is it so hard for you to just listen to me for once? Why does it always have to be me who's wrong or slow or not doing enough? Now you're getting frustrated, so you reply, okay, hold up. You just told me your coworker stole your idea and I was just trying to offer a solution. If you don't want advice, fine. But why are you taking it out on me? And there it is. Tension. Sound familiar? Too familiar, right? It started off as a simple moment. Just your partner trying to share something that upset her. But then she gets heated, you get defensive, and before you know it, it turns into a full-blown argument. One person is opening up, the other tries to help with advice, but the person venting doesn't want advice and feels misunderstood. Now both people are hurt, both feel unappreciated, and things just spiral. Yeah, we've all been there. From the outside, the guy in the story sounds smart, right? He's listening, he's analyzing, he's offering solutions. But here's the truth. That kind of communication, it's not wise communication. And I know some of you might be a little surprised to hear that, but trust me, based on real life experience, I'm telling you, the way that guy responded, that was unwise. So, what should you do in that moment? What's the wiser way to respond? One that doesn't lead to arguments or hurt feelings. In situations where someone, let's say my wife, for example, comes to me and opens up about something she's struggling with, I always start with one simple question. First, I give a little, just to show I'm listening, that I'm present, that I care. And then I ask, do you want me to just listen, or are you looking for a solution? Let me tell you something. Just asking that one question alone can completely prevent an argument from happening. It brings clarity right from the start. It draws a clear line between two things. Does the other person just want to share and be heard? Or are they actually looking for help and a solution? That's exactly where the guy in the earlier story messed up. He didn't pause to find out whether his partner needed empathy or advice. He just jumped straight in with solutions. So of course she felt like he wasn't really listening. She felt dismissed, like her emotions were being brushed aside. And the argument, totally predictable. Guys, that kind of communication, it's not wise. Not at all. So please, remember this. Whenever someone comes to you to vent, to share something personal, or even just to complain, whether it's a woman or a man, ask this question. Do you want me to listen, or do you want a solution? They'll give you one of two answers, and from there, you'll know exactly what to do. If they say, no, I just want you to listen, then great. Sit there, be present, nod, listen deeply. Maybe ask a few thoughtful follow-up questions to show you care. That's it. That's all they need. But if they say, yeah, I'd love your help figuring this out, then awesome. Now you're in the clear to offer your advice. And guess what? They won't get mad. There's no reason for conflict because they asked for it. And friends, this is actually a really powerful psychological trick in communication. When you ask, do you want me to listen, or are you looking for a solution? You're handing the control back to the other person. You're inviting them to pause and really check in with themselves. Are they just needing to feel seen and heard? Or are they actually asking for guidance? Because here's the truth. A lot of people don't even realize what they actually need. They don't know if they're overwhelmed by emotions or if they really do want help. But when you ask that question, do you want me to listen or are you looking for a solution? You're gently forcing them to reflect. They have to pause. They have to think it through. And eventually, they'll choose one of those two clear paths. From that point on, your job is simple. Just follow their lead. If they say, I just need you to listen, then that's your cue. Listen. Stay present. That's it. And hey, if a little while later, they suddenly turn around and say, you're not even giving me any advice or help, you can gently remind them, well, didn't you say you just wanted me to listen? And right then, they'll recognize it. They'll catch themselves and adjust. Conflict? Almost impossible if you use this approach with care. And I want to really emphasize this, friends. This trick, this little communication tool, it's not just for romantic relationships. It works beautifully in any relationship. It's especially helpful at work, when you're talking to your boss or coworkers. Now, before I jump into the next example, can I ask you for a small favor? If you found this video helpful, even just a little, please take a second to hit like. And if you didn't feel like it spoke to you yet, it's totally okay. Feel free to hit dislike. No hard feelings at all. We really respect your honesty here. Why does it matter? Because every single like or dislike helps us look at the data, analyze what's working, and adjust. It helps us make the next video better, more relevant, more useful for you. So, if you ever find that future videos feel more helpful than the ones before, just know that you played a part in that, with one tiny click. All right, now let's move on to the second example. Wise communication at work. Let's say your boss calls you into their office. You walk in, they let out a heavy sigh and start sharing. Things haven't been going great around here lately. Our team's gotten too big, but productivity's gone down. Orders are getting delayed. Honestly, I'm just drained. You're sitting there listening, and honestly, you feel for them. You want to help. You want to offer some advice, maybe try to fix something, but hold up. Don't jump in just yet. Don't blurt out things like, maybe you should cut down the team. Maybe try reorganizing the tasks a bit. No, don't do it. Wise communication means knowing who you are, who you're talking to, and what your role in that relationship actually is. You're not the CEO. You're not the one making the big decisions, so don't go acting like it. Here's what you should do. Remember that little magic question I shared earlier? The one you'd use with your spouse or partner? Of course, you're not going to use it exactly the same way here. Don't go turning to your boss and saying, so, do you want me to listen or are you looking for solutions? Tell me now. Big mistake. You might just find yourself listening from the comfort of your couch at home. Permanently. The key is to be flexible, adapt. Use the same idea but tailor your words to match the situation. Here's how. Just let your boss talk. Nod, say yes, show you're paying attention. Let them get it all out. And after they're done, you ask, in the most respectful, thoughtful way, would it be helpful if I supported you in any way? Boom. That's it. That one sentence, but it melts every boss. I promise you. And really, that question is saying the same thing as, do you want me to listen or are you looking for help? But it's said in a way that's humble, respectful, and totally appropriate for someone in a lower position. Because if you said that exact same magic sentence to your boss, it might come off a little arrogant. It sounds like you're putting yourself on their level or even above. And that's not going to land well. So here's the rule of thumb. If you're speaking with someone at the same level as you or below, go ahead and ask directly, do you want me to listen or are you looking for a solution? But if you're speaking with someone above you, whether in position or in age, then go with something like, would it be helpful if I supported you in any way? Or, is there anything I can do to help? Same heart, same intention, just delivered with humility. Now, if your boss does need help, they'll tell you what they need. But if not, they might just say, "Nah, I just needed to vent a little." Thanks for listening. And honestly, when it comes to the workplace, things are usually a bit simpler than in relationships. There's less emotion involved. It's more straightforward. Of course, when you ask your boss that question, would it be helpful if I supported you in any way? There's a good chance they'll respond by assigning you something. And if it were me, I'd be happy about that. I've never been afraid of tough challenges. If my boss gives me something hard to do, to me, that just shows he trusts me. And you know what? I've been in leadership roles too. So let me tell you something from the other side. Giving a tough task to someone isn't as simple as it seems, especially when it's a difficult task. We're not doing it to punish someone or make their life hard. When a boss hands out a tough assignment, they're the one who will be held accountable if it goes wrong. So don't mistake it for pressure or unfair treatment. It's trust, pure and simple. So me? I never shy away from difficult things. When someone places their trust in me, I see that as a win. And here's something else I want to point out. That kind of boss, the kind who leans on you when things get tough, they're the same type of boss who, if they ever get promoted, will likely recommend you to fill their role. Trust me, it happens more often than you think. Have you ever experienced something like that in real life? Because here's the truth. Trust is everything. When someone trusts you, whether it's in work, life, or love, and there's an opportunity, a reward, or a special chance, they're going to offer it to the person they trust first. That's just how it works. Now, on the flip side, you know those people who always shy away from responsibility? The ones who, anytime their boss gives them a task, respond with, "That sounds hard. I don't think I can do it." Look, they'll still keep their job, sure. But promotions, leadership roles, forget it. That mindset doesn't grow. It doesn't lead. So let's be real about what's actually happening. Let's see things for what they are. That one simple line, would it be helpful if I supported you in any way? I'm telling you, say that to your boss and you might just melt their heart. And when someone does give you a task, do it. See that task as an opportunity to build trust. Because when your boss sees that you take initiative, that you step up, that you follow through, your path to promotion, it becomes so much smoother. So let's wrap up this first big takeaway. This magic sentence we've been talking about. If you're speaking with someone who's on the same level as you or just a bit lower, say, "Do you want me to listen?" Or "Would you like my help?" But if you're speaking to someone older or in a higher position, use, "Is there anything I can do to support you?" That's it. Use these sentences. Apply them in your everyday life. And trust me, the world will love you for it. All right, now let's move into part 2. And this one's just as simple. Again, it's like a little script you can follow. You don't have to memorize a bunch of theory and just repeat after me. This time, the power sentence we're learning is all about handling arguments and debates. Because let's be honest, we all find ourselves in situations where discussions get heated, where people start raising their voices, where opinions clash hard, where things start to spiral. So what do? What can you say that helps both sides stay calm, that keeps the conversation respectful, that avoids shouting and finger pointing and all that emotional mess? Wise communication sounds simple, but it's not always easy. Still, if you're paying attention and you stay mindful in the moment, there's one sentence you can use that can turn any argument into a calm, meaningful discussion. Just one sentence. That's all it takes. Let me ask you something. And I mean this as a real-life question. Have you ever been in a situation where you were having a discussion with someone? Okay, maybe discussion sounds too formal. Let's call it what it is. A conversation with your partner, your spouse, your coworker. At first, it all starts off fine, right? You're calm, you're polite, you're trying to be patient. But then things start to heat up. Why? Because you're talking and the other person isn't really listening. You're trying to explain your point and they're just not cooperating, not understanding. So you start to feel irritated, but you're still holding it in. You keep your cool for a bit longer. And then suddenly, boom, you explode, you snap, and now the conversation has turned into a full-blown fight. Next thing you know, you're not talking to each other anymore. Or worse, you're yelling at each other. Maybe even shouting things you'll regret later. Sound familiar? And hey, if you're not in a position to yell back, maybe the other person has more power or authority, then you just sit there, holding it in. But deep down inside, you start to resent them. You carry that anger with you. You store it away like a grudge, right? Way too familiar, huh? I've been through this myself many times. I've lived it not just once, but again and again. So I'm telling you, what I'm sharing with you here, this isn't some theory I made up. This is real. This is practical. So, how do we avoid that kind of emotional disaster? Honestly, it's super simple. Just say one sentence. Before you get into any heated discussion, before the back and forth starts, say this. Here's what I'd like to suggest. So that this conversation can stay productive, respectful, and not waste either of our time, I'd like to propose one simple rule. When you talk, I'll listen to you all the way through. No interrupting, no cutting you off. I'll let you finish completely, and then once you're done, it's my turn. And I'd really appreciate it if you'd let me speak all the way through, too. Sound fair? That's it. And you know what usually happens when I say this? 100% of the time, people agree. Why? Because I let them speak first. Did you notice how I phrased that? I said, when you speak, I'll listen to you all the way through. And only after that will it be my turn to talk. What I'm doing there is putting them in the position to go first. I'm giving them the floor. And that makes people feel heard, respected, and in control. It's subtle, but powerful. I promise you, 100% of the time, when I say it that way, people agree. And once they say yes, once they're on board, I follow it up with this one magical line. All right then, go ahead. I'm all ears. Let them speak first. Let them feel like they're being heard before anything else. Guys, I'm telling you, that line right there is powerful. You have to try it. What you've just done is establish a ground rule, a framework, for how this discussion is going to go. You've created what I like to call the rules of engagement in a disagreement. Now, here's the thing. Do you know what causes most arguments to blow up? Do you know why people get so heated so quickly? It's interruption. One person is trying to explain their point, but halfway through, the other person cuts in. The first person feels disrespected. They feel dismissed. They get angry. And the one who interrupted, they're frustrated too because the other person won't stop talking long enough for them to respond. So now both people are just fighting over the right to speak. It turns into a shouting match, not a conversation. Think about it. In most arguments, people aren't even really listening to each other. They're just waiting for their turn to talk, or worse, yelling over one another just to get it out. So how do we stop that? Just say this one sentence. Let's repeat it together, not to drag it out, but because I really want it to stick. Hey, I have a quick suggestion. To make this discussion more productive, and to make sure we're both respecting each other, let's agree that when you talk, I'll listen to you fully, no interruptions. And once you're finished, then I'll take my turn. and I'd appreciate the same in return. Sound good? That's it. Simple, respectful, and effective. And here's the best part. If, while you're talking, the other person does try to interrupt, you can calmly remind them, hey, remember what we agreed on? Let's let each other finish. No need to raise your voice. No need to get defensive. Just bring it back to the agreement you both made at the start. Because this whole interrupting mid-sentence thing, it's one of the biggest reasons why people lose their temper during conversations. It's what turns discussions into arguments. So please, remember this one. Try it out. Just by using this one sentence, you're eliminating interruptions entirely. And that alone helps remove the number one cause of people getting angry or shouting at each other during conversations. Now, of course, I get it. Some of you might be thinking, okay, sure, this stops the interruptions. But what if the other person still doesn't agree with me? What if they listen politely, but they don't actually hear what I'm trying to say? That's a very real concern. And you're right, this sentence doesn't automatically make people agree with you. It's not some magical fix for persuasion, but don't worry. That's why I said from the very beginning, this episode is just about the first two foundational tools. Two-power sentence. Easy to remember, easy to apply. Then in part 3, we're going to level up. I'll show you a powerful psychological technique. Something you can actually use that'll help guide the other person into a position where they happily agree with you, not reluctantly. Not because they feel forced, but because they genuinely want to say yes. I promise you, it's going to be good. We'll save that persuasion technique for the next episode in this ongoing series on mindful communication and speaking wisely. But for now, just keep things simple. If there's one thing I want you to walk away with today, it's this. Remember these two sentences. Use them. Try them out in your daily life. I guarantee they work. They may seem small, but they change the entire tone of a conversation. And when you've tried them, come back here. Find the next episode. We're going to dive deeper and build even stronger communication skills together. I want to make you a promise. An actual solid promise. In the next episode, I'm going to show you how to get someone to agree with your point of view. Without them getting angry, without them feeling defensive. It's not hard, and I will teach you that, guaranteed. But everything I've shared with you so far today, everything we've talked about up to this point, has been focused on conversations between people who are equals. Same age, same social standing. Friends, peers, basically when you're talking eye to eye. In those situations, that one line, you speak, I listen, then I speak, you listen. One person talks at a time. It's perfect, simple, and powerful. But what happens when you're talking to someone above you? Someone older or in a position of authority, like your boss, your parents, or even your grandparents. Can you still use the same rule? Actually, yes, you can. But you have to use it a little more delicately. Let me give you an example. Let's say your boss calls you into a private meeting, and this boss, let's be honest, is known to be kind of a dictator. The kind of person where if you don't handle things just right, you might get kicked out of the room, or worse. So what do? You read the room. Let your boss talk first. Don't interrupt. Just listen fully. Let him finish. Once he's said what he needed to say and it's your turn, that's when you speak. But before you speak, be smart. Pay attention to how your boss usually communicates. Is he the type who interrupts a lot? If he is, then here's the magic phrase I want you to use. Say this. Sir, if I may, I'd like to share something quickly, but I'd love to say it all the way through. Once I've finished, I'd really appreciate your thoughts. That way, the idea comes across clearly and can serve the project better. See that? What you're doing is asking permission, respectfully, while also giving a good reason for why you want to speak uninterrupted. You're not being demanding. You're not trying to control the conversation. You're simply asking for space to express your thought fully and framing it in a way that benefits the work, not just you. That part's key. And let me say this clearly because it's important. Asking for permission in a conversation with someone above you is not weakness. It's not being submissive. It's not being small. It's respect. Why try to win an argument when you're already in a weaker position? There's nothing less than about showing respect. In fact, when you're talking to someone older than you or someone with more authority, that kind of respectful communication is just basic courtesy. For example, when speaking to an elderly man, you'd say something like, "Sir, if I may, I'd like to share my thoughts fully." That's not weakness. That's cultural respect. That's knowing how to honor someone's age and experience. There's nothing wrong with that. And I hope no one tries to twist my words here. Because what really matters is the grace in how we speak. It's the intent behind our words. And if you speak with kindness and tact, trust me, people will listen to what you have to say. So please try it out for yourself. These two key phrases, one for speaking with equals and one for speaking with people in higher positions, they will completely transform the way you communicate. Let me say it again just to lock it in. In the next episode, I'm going to teach you a powerful psychological strategy, one that'll help you guide someone into a position where they want to agree with you. Not reluctantly, not out of pressure, but willingly, happily. And yes, it's a real technique. It's a 5-step process, and I promise I'll walk you through every step in the next video of this Wise Communication series. All right, so in today's episode, we covered something simple but super effective. How to speak wisely, even in emotionally charged situations. 2 go-to phrases that make your conversations calmer and more productive, and how to apply them depending on who you're talking to. And the best part? These are ready-to-use lines. They're short, easy to remember, and actually work in real-life situations. Try them out. I mean, really use them. And you'll start seeing a dramatic shift in how people respond to you. Arguments? You'll be able to stop them before they even start. People? They'll want to listen. They'll want to understand you. And that right there, that kind of connection, it prevents so many problems down the line. I really hope today's episode was helpful. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart, I hope it brought you something useful. Keep going. Keep practicing. And most importantly, keep showing up to grow. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.